Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna do interview some traveler who are from Russia because this is a really bad situation between Russia and Ukraine war. I'm gonna do interview him, what he said and what he think about the Ukraine and Russia war. Let's go. Hello, Mister. Nice to meet you.
Hello everybody. Hello,
So I'm gonna you ask you a few questions because I heard you from Russia.
Okay, yes.
Especially this really bad situation between Ukraine and the Russia war.
That's very
So
true.
how did the Russia-Ukraine war affect the ordinary people in Russia? How was it affected you personally?
All right. Of course, the war, it's a drama. And of course, the whole society in Russia is massively affected of that. It's in the stress. The businesses are in decline. Government just acts as a crazy. And many people are very unhappy with that. And some of them even flew away of the country. And what about myself personally? I'm in Egypt right now at the moment, so that's a part of answer. And I tell you, since the war began in February, estimately 1.5 million young people in Russia just swept away. They just got to other countries since the war began.
According to your knowledge, how many people in Russia support this war?
Honestly, I have to say that unfortunately, very large part of Russian people do support this war without even learning deeply what are the reasons and what are the aims of this war. People are propagated by governmental mass media, unfortunately, uncritically, and many of them just repeat slogans that we should defeat them, these damned Ukrainians, and so forth, like that. So I would say maybe 60 to 80% of Russians do support the war.
So how do you personally see this war? What do you think the main meaning of this war?
That's a tricky question. I'm not sure that anyone could give a precise answer to that, not any politician or analytics, because we could say about Russian governmental aims in this war, and that's probably what they do claim openly. Nevertheless, there could be a hidden agenda behind of that, and if you ask me personally, I can tell you my own opinion. Behind of the actions of Russian government now, there are interests of global elite who really order Russian government what to do. And the war and its plan, I would take a risk to say that this is a part of global plan of the world oligarchs, of the world government, which placed not in Russia, of course, but they need this conflict to weaken Russian perspective in the future, to break down the possible union in between Russia and China, which is the greatest threat to Western American, European New World Order. Okay, Russian and Chinese friendship in every field, in economy, military, politics, culture, would unite our nations together, Chinese and Russians, and we would be a very powerful union then, with a huge territory, with huge industry, science, human resources, and so forth. And Western powers, United States particularly, they do really care and scared of that. That's why they corrupted Russian government to attack Ukraine, to compromise Russia forever and ever, and to weaken, to break down this possible union in between Russia and China. To shame Russia forever. This is the hidden agenda of all what's going on, whatever Russian government says. Because Russian government is not something we should trust. It's totally corrupted. It consists of thieves, of absolutely criminal persons. I do not mention anyone particularly because it's a matter of juridical issue.
If you were the president of Russia, how would you handle the problem with Ukraine?
If I would be president of Russia, the Ukraine would never be a problem for me and my country. Because Russians and Ukrainian people are actually brothers, ethnically, culturally, historically. We used to be this very similar nation, not only during Soviet Union times, even long before. Russia itself, its spiritual, religious, cultural roots originates in Ukrainian territory, in Kiev itself. So there is no any reasons for the war except the interests of external hostile powers.
Have you been to Ukraine before?
That's a good question. I was there twice. Once with a transit by train, so I didn't really see much, but that used to be a period of Soviet Union, the last year of Soviet Union, 1991. And I was in Lviv town for one day. I walked it down. It's quite European town at that time and beautiful like any European city. And another visit I did in 1992 to the peninsula of Crimea. That's the very disputable right now area, and maybe the cause of perspective world nuclear war, who knows. And well, I was impressed very much. I used to be there at the seminar of Unification Church, the international religious organization. They conducted the large seminar for students of Soviet Union at that time in Crimea. So I attended it there for 3 weeks. So it was a great experience. And by the way, that the place we were living there, a big bunch of Soviet students at that time, we've been staying in the very hotel and the resort of the high top Communist Party leaders of Soviet Union over there. So let's suppose that the connections in between international and foreign companies, organizations, and the very top of communist leaders of Soviet Union was so close at that period of time that we could even suspect them in a sort of conspiracy against the Soviet people. That what's happened afterward is a kind of proof of that supposition.
Have you met some Ukrainian on your travel during the war?
Just yesterday here in Hurghada in Egypt, I met a Ukrainian lady and we spoke quite long. And she told me how the war and situation is perceived from her side and from the side of her family who remains in Ukraine right now. And the two very close friends of her already fall down on the front lines of this bloody war. So, and of course she is absolutely stressed of that. And actually she told me that after the war began, many people in Russia and Ukraine, and of her friends as well, so much divided in their opinions and attitudes to what's going on that they even quit to be friends forever and ever. So much different views of those people on current events. And that's what I could also tell you about myself. Some people with their political position and their attitude to what's going on are becoming unacceptable even for friendly communication. This is a big psychological problem, because since this crisis began, you found out that some people you used to be with for a long time, used to think they are friends of you, they happen to be so much different that you've been expected them to be in their mind. So that's really a matter of reconsidering your relations to them, even. That's it. As a travel guide in St. Petersburg and in other countries like India, for example, or South America, I met quite a lot of Ukrainian people, and they are nice, and I would say they do not much different from Russian people, from the best, of course, from the best of Russian people. So in my army service, by the way, I was also at service together with the Ukrainian people. So I had never thought this stupid and criminal war in between two sister nations could ever happen. So that is my personal opinion.
Do you want to say something to ordinary people in Ukraine and of the whole world?
Wow. And to the whole world.
Especially for ordinary Ukrainians.
All right.
Yeah, because I watch a lot of video about what's the situation in Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, ordinary people. It's really so bad. It's really so bad. The war broke in their own life and destroyed their home, their family. Yeah, it's really bad. So
of course.
Because from Russia, but this just for your opinion. What do you want to say something for the ordinary Ukrainian?
I would wish to Ukrainians and to all other people to the inner balance. First of all, they should realize who they are without any political. That first of all we are human beings with our rights to live. First of all, to love our close ones, and to behave in our lives however we think is needed to be. So in situation of such a crisis, I would wish to Ukrainian people and to all other people who are in a critical situations, first of all, to feel themselves as a human being with its own rights, and never and ever commit themselves to become a victim of whoever, of any politicians, of any cheaters, of any propaganda. So first of all, observe yourself, consider of your own inner self, and then think over how to develop and how to manage your own life, first of all. Whatever the rulers, the politicians, or the global powers they plan to do, first of all, they should share their plans and ideas and agendas to the common people of the world. And as far as we see, they do not share their plans, their real ideas, real ideals. That's the kind of conspiracy against human race. So that's what we should trace, to consider, and what we should be taking care of is that we are dealing with our politicians. Usually we are dealing with the cheaters. So that's the point, and that's what we have to be careful of. To be mindful, to realize ourselves as a human beings, and to behave in a good and positive direction. That is.